Well, hello, this is Dan Jessen here at KBOZ Radio, and I'm speaking with Richard Hathaway. Richard, how is it going today?
Oh, it's going good. It's a nice, bright day, sunny day. Work is coming up.
It is definitely a beautiful day here in Bozeman, and I am taking the time here to let our listeners know a little bit about what you do.
Well, what I do is basically take care of landscape maintenance. I don't do any mowing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I take care of the shrubs, keep the lawns looking nice, keep the weeds down, keep the trees looking well, healthy. That's basically
That's your gig.
my gig.
Yeah,
Planting stuff, making a decision, and helping people make a decision on what they want to plant or what they should plant.
No kidding. Yeah, so you have a lot of experience with the different plants and things like that. So
And I see lots of mistakes out there.
yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, we don't all, you go over to Home Depot or whatever, and you say, oh, look, I like this plant. I'm gonna put this one in my front lawn, and you sit there and say, no, you don't want to do
or
that.
maybe that variety shouldn't be even planted here because it doesn't do well here.
There you go. See?
I mean, it's like the green ash. Why a lot of the green ash are dying in Bozeman is they're all Patmore ashes. And Patmore green ash, and that's the cultivar, does not do well here. But green ash in general does fairly well here.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Yeah.
And we're trying not to do in Bozeman because we've got the emerald ash borer coming in and stuff like that. And that's came in from Europe, and it'll get here eventually into Montana. We haven't seen it yet, so there's no worrying and no thinking about it. But when it shows up, I'm ready.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's great. So when you consult with somebody, this is what I want, Richard. I want to do this, and this, and then you'll sit there and say, okay, so wait a minute, this plant isn't going to make it. This is a good hardy plant, or so, you go down the list and you let them know exactly what they're looking at.
And sometimes you have to be site specific because some things are not. Most of the stuff that carry in their deals are, so they're trying to figure a bulletproof plant. So they're looking for that kind of stuff out there where they can plant it anywhere in the valley or any spot.
Yeah.
You've got stuff that does better next to wet areas, next to creeks, ponds, whatever you want to go for something. Stuff that does well in shade, it's either dry or wet. You have to take those things in consideration.
See, yeah, a lot of people don't. I like this. This looks nice. Why don't we do this? Look, they got a little tag on the thing that shows you what it looks like fully bloomed.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and it does look nice. And not everything is, but when you're buying it from Home Depot, it's buyers beware.
Yeah.
Big box stores, they what they do there is they have buyers that go out, they buy steel, and they ship it everywhere. They're not very.
They don't look at the regions, and
they don't look at the regions. They don't look at zone it in. So check those zone levels.
Oh, that's a good point.
Another thing people do with like fruit trees and stuff. Rootstock is everything,
and
that's what we graft. That's what we graft. We take a piece of the one tree and we put that piece in there. It's a bud or a stolon.
Yeah.
And we put it in and we get it to grow. And we graft it to that, and that comes up from it. They've been doing it for I don't know how many thousands, somewhere around 3,000 to 2,000 years. Grafting's been done. So we've been actually cloning for a lot longer because that's basically what it is. But that rootstock that they put it on is the most important. If you buy English here, it's terrible for this area.
Yeah.
It's too dry, it's too cold. So you're looking for like Russian rootstock.
I don't want to sound real easy terms, but it's like a palm tree won't grow in Montana.
Yeah.
A palm tree is not made for this climate. And that's simple. It's a simple way of saying what it is you're doing. You're looking at these and say, well, wait a minute, this one comes from a region that does not have the same kind of weather that we have here.
Or the kind of weather we have.
Exactly.
So, because apples actually come from Kazakhstan. That's where they grow native.
I did not know that.
So we do a lot. So, like the Geneva, New York State has research that's hooked up with the extension service, and they're going over there and collecting different stuff so that we're not losing it because they're losing a lot of the forest over there.
I didn't know that either.
So they're trying to get as much material as possible. So we're everything's tied in. But when when people forget, these trees, when you're dealing with fruit trees in particular, pruning is like the godsend of everything.
It is. Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to do. I mean, when you prune for fruit generally.
Yeah.
If I'm doing an ornamental, I'm trying to just keep it healthy and looking so it's not going to fall apart.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking for, when I'm doing for fruit, we're thinking about fruit when we're pruning. So when you go to these commercial orchards, they don't look like anything that you prune out in the. Unfortunately, I have to think in both terms.
Yeah.
Ornamental and because they're in people's yards.
Right.
So that I've got that kind of restraint to that. So So when I go out pruning, I look for what we call codominant branches, and we've even got them where they're trees come together and you'll see them and they're really low down and you'll have like a codominant trunk, and it's usually 2 or more of them in. They've got a probably less than a 40% degree angle to the trunk. Okay, that's what we're trying to say here. And that works much. And when you see that, that's usually a problem, because that means that trunk is not, or that branch is not going to be connected very well. And somewhere down the road, it may take a few years, it may last a lot of years. Yeah. But somewhere down the road, we're going to get some weather like we did this fall, snow on it, and it's going to crack and break and tear the tree all apart. Yeah. So when they're young, they're great to get rid of. Mm-hmm. When they're older, we got to do different things, and then it takes somebody who really needs or knows what they're doing. Right. And probably has the equipment to do it. Mm-hmm. We're looking for things like water spouts, the things that come straight off the branches that go straight up. Mm-hmm. If we're talking suckers, the stuff down along the ground, you want to remove that. Anything that's growing through, crisscrossing branches, stuff like that, you want to get those out of there. Most of that stuff's going to do pretty good. Once you do that and you get these trees younger, believe it or not, your life is going to be a lot simpler. Oh, no kidding. When they get older and they haven't had anything done to them, guess what? When they start falling apart, you got a mess.
That's it. Yeah.
And they may not fall apart and fall down and hit something that you would normally. So so that's why we prune a lot. I mean, we do it for structural purposes. We do it for, sometimes you got a tree growing in a house or something, you're trying to control the direction or the size of the tree. You prune for that to keep that to a
I see. Yeah. So here we are in springtime.
And it's the time to do it.
This is it. This is when you want to be out there pruning, and you don't really know what you're doing. People should be contacting a guy like yourself.
Checking the extension, MSU Extension Service is a good place for it. We've got the ISA has, I think, things on their websites. We have things on, I'm a member of AMTOP, the Montana Nurserymen and Landscape Association.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Montana Landscape and Nurserymen's Association. Yeah. Or the MNLA. We've all kind of got things out there. We've got lists of people you can get to, certified people.
Yeah, and that's their best bet, is to get a hold of somebody like with your knowledge to look at what they're doing, because if they're just going to go in there and start cutting something, they're in trouble.
Yeah. When you got a nice 90-degree branch and they're cutting it off for no reason at all, it's
so buyer beware. I mean, no, that is something that we need
there's
to do.
A lot of people out there that ask a few questions. You'll start figuring it out. I've seen stuff where they cut the tips of the branches off, which is, I don't understand. Yeah. For the application they're doing. To me, you take all the rotten limbs off.
Yeah.
You're trying to get the dead, you're trying to keep the healthy going.
Exactly.
And that stuff. And if you're getting in there, you got to clean it. But basically what I look for is when I cut it is what we call the branch collar. Mm-hmm. And it's up next close to the trunk, and it's usually the biggest, thickest part. Pull that off. You want to cut it where it starts to narrow.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Where the two do. Cut that off nice and clean and neat, and that will, and over time it'll look like a donut. Oh. And then it'll eventually fill in. Yeah. So if it's a fairly good sized branch, it'll take it quite a while. And that's how you know you've got a good cut, downtime. So you can always, if you get it too close, it's a lot harder for the tree to decompartmentalize, because trees don't really heal. They compartmentalize. They're not like us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where we glue ourselves together.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we're cutting that way, because these trees don't do that. The other thing you want to, if you got like branches that you're cutting off, or tips of branches where you want to cut them, you want to take and cut them close to about 1/4 inch from the best viable bud. That's going to keep that tree looking. And if you're really good at it, you look at the direction you go, and you don't want it to grow that way, you grow it that way. Yeah, and it's like in apple trees, and in particular, you want to take and open them up in the center so that there's airflow. Because they get a lot of leaf diseases. Oh. Blight is one, and it helps reduce it by a lot.
It does. Okay.
So you want to do that. So that's why you go in and clean stuff out of them.
So, boy, we're almost out of time. Is there anything that you would like to add to all it? I mean, we had on here pruning, shrubs, lawn.
Well, and the big thing right now is I would go out and I trim my ornamental grasses. Mm-hmm. Don't cut them too short.
Okay.
Then that way, if they start greening up, you'll hit the tops, and then you'll have square tips, and you kind of lose that effect.
Oh,
So
I
what
see.
you want to do is do them either now or late in the fall.
Yeah.
And the other thing is bushes. Trimming like potentillas and spireas right now is a good time. Don't touch the lilacs and the mock oranges and anything that blooms in that time, because what you're going to be doing is cutting off this year's flowers.
Oh, the flowers. Okay.
See, if
that-
you've got something like a mock orange, you want the flowers, believe me. There
Yes.
is nothing more beautiful smelling than a mock orange. They look like orange blossoms and stuff. They do really well. It's a native, and it's a great, tough plant. And lilacs are great, too. But if you cut that off, you want to cut it after they bloom, trim them or whatever, because then they will. But if you've got things like maybe like Nanking cherries, for example, that's a good little bush cherry. Grows really well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
About you want to take the 3 to 4 year old stems out of it and cut them out and kind of clean them up a little bit, and they'll the old and dead wood out of them. They'll do great, and they really so that kind of stuff you can kind of do with that kind of stuff like that. Those you can do it with raspberries. You want to cut the old ones that produced last year.
Right.
If you haven't done it, some people do it early. I usually what I like to do is do like the commercial guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Trim the tops off when I get, except if I've got an everbearer.
Yeah.
Is if I cut the tips off the everbearer, I won't get my berries.
Oh, you won't. Okay.
So you got to know the difference.
Yeah.
And
that's where that knowledge comes in that we talked about. If they contact the right people, you got the right person to talk to about it, and they're going to look at it and say, this is what you need to do.
So we've got a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
That's beautiful.
We've got, and this year with the snow down on the ground, we're going to have a lot of vole damage. Fill it in, put seed down. I like to use tall turfing fescue. It uses a lot less water, and it comes up fast. I mean, it's about as fast as ryegrass.
Oh, no kidding.
So time-wise, it comes up.
Yeah.
And you're mowing in a month.
Wow.
After it comes up.
That's
So it
incredible.
does. It'll take the heat and the dryness a little better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has a lot less disease problems. And snow mold doesn't seem to bother it as much either. Gray snow mold isn't really a big problem. My thing is rake it up where it is and clean it up a little bit and let things go, and then fertilize later in
Oh, there you go.
around Memorial Day or
Yeah.
there.
God, this is awesome. Richard, I didn't think I'm talking with Richard Hathaway, and we're talking about shrubs and pruning and lawn. And I think we're out of time now, Richard, so we're going to have you back here for part 2.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right. And this is Dan Jessen, Desert Mountain Broadcasting, KBOZ, and we'll talk to you later.